Hi, my name's Kay. I run a company called No Added Salt by Nana Kay, and I've been asked by CASH, the Consensus Against Salt on Health, to make this short video for Salt Awareness Week. This year they're focusing on the amount of hidden salt in children's food. So what I've done here to help demonstrate it is a little example of how much salt your child should have a day. This is approximately 2 grams of salt. This is representing breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner. For breakfast I've allowed for toast and butter, cereal and milk. There's about 2.9 grams of salt in that basic breakfast. So already by having breakfast in this way, your child has already had the maximum amount of salt it should have for the day. We then go into a snack. I've allowed here for a nice sensible snack of maybe a biscuit or two, some fruit and a breadstick. Again, this is 0.6 grams of salt. Lunch, I've allowed for a nice healthy tuna sandwich with some fruit, yoghurt and a piece of cake. Again, 1.1 grams of salt in this already. Afternoon snack, I've allowed for a nice little ham sandwich and a piece of fruit. Again, half a gram of salt here. Dinner, I've allowed for a nice lasagna and rice pudding, and again, we're well over 1 gram, 1.14 grams of salt. Now push this together in this plain and simple way, and you can see just how easy it is to overdose your child on salt without realising it and without intending to. On a one-off, won't do your child much harm on a one-off, but if this is your child's basic diet and with things they commonly eat, then you really are overdosing your child on salt unwillingly, unknowingly, and you need to look at what your child is eating and start to read labels more carefully and try and look for the lower salt options. There are many own brands, for instance, are far less salt in them than the brands we all know and love, say of cereals for instance. Quite often if you buy an own brand cereal, you will see there's maybe half the amount of salt. It's a simple way of cutting down on your child's salt for the day. Again, if your child is a tomato sauce lover, like my Lena is, then again, go for the low salt and sugar options. It's ways of cutting down without spoiling what your child enjoys. So today, I thought I'd show you how quick and easy it is to make homemade fish fingers with potatoes and vegetables for your child. Most kids like fish fingers, and this way you cut out the added salt that the leading brand has in them. If your child has fish fingers for tea, maybe 4 fish fingers, that's nearly 1 gram of salt. Each fish finger stick has approximately 0.28 grams of salt in it. This way you cut that out. So we take our fish fillet. We always check for any bones that they may have left, even though it's meant to be boneless. Just run your fingers lightly over to make sure there's no bones in there. I recommend cod or pollock for these fish fingers. With the pollock you get the added benefit of the lovely omega-3s. So what we do, we take a nice sharp knife and we cut our nice little fish fingers. Okay. If you've got a bigger child, you can do big points. You can even do for mum and dad. You can do steaks like this. Give dad that, and he's got a lovely fish fillet. But fish fingers for the kids, it's pure fish, not mixed with anything. It's a lovely fish fillet. It couldn't be any healthier for your child. And what we do, put that to one side for a minute, and we're going to make our butter. This is corn flour. This is approximately 125 grams of corn flour. Into that, we're just going to break an egg. Have a little pinch of white pepper, a little bit of frozen garlic. It's a cheat, which is good. It saves you messing about with fresh garlic, and it is just pure garlic, nothing added. Into that, a little splash of cold water. We mix this in to make our batter. And if you're that way inclined, you can let your children mix this up. Kids seem to eat more if they're involved in the cooking process. So they could maybe make this batter up while you're cutting the fish up. Will be messy, but they will enjoy it. Corn flour can be bit harder to mix than normal flour. It can be very gloopy, but just persevere and all of a sudden it goes from a lumpy mess into a nice smooth batter. Then, once we've got that, and don't worry if there is a few lumps because during cooking they will pop out. So, there's your batter. What we're going to do, we're going to sprinkle the fish fillets, a little bit of flour to help that batter stick. Toss them in it, still no salt. Okay, here we go. Nicely covered, and really messy and basic here. We're going to drop them in the batter. Okay, turn over, get them all nicely covered in that batter. And then what we're going to do, we're going to use rapeseed oil. All of my cooking I do with either olive oil or rapeseed oil because they're good fats. Okay, your children, we as adults worry about fat because of gaining weight, etc. Children need good fats to help them grow healthily, keep them warm and give them energy. So when you're frying, always try and use olive oil or rapeseed oil. Benefits of the rapeseed oil, again, are the extra omega-3s that you'll be getting. So even if there's a bit of fat left on your fish finger, it's good fat for your child, so please don't worry. So the oil goes in the pan, and we're then going to pop them on the gas. So here I am with the oil heating up nicely. What I do is just drop a little bit in to make sure they're not going to sit in the fat and soak the fat up, but they're actually going to crispen up nice and quickly. You don't want it too hot as they'll cook on the outside and not on the inside. And you just drop them in like this. You'll get lots of batter swimming out like this. It soon snaps off, but my little Lena and Ruby like to eat the crispy bits, so we tend to leave them on. Okay, so they've been cooking now for about 3 minutes each side. Depending on the size and the thickness of the fish finger will be how long they take. If you're worried and you want to make sure, pick your biggest one and give it a little cut through. And make sure that fish is lovely and white in the middle and you know they're done. You lift them out of here onto a nice bit of kitchen roll to soak up any excess fat. So I'm going to serve these fish fingers today with sweet corn, petit pois and some mixed mash. Mixed mash I make up with just normal white potato and sweet potato. Just gives it a colour. Kids love colour on their plate. Funnily enough, sweet potato is higher in carbohydrates than normal potato, so you're really boosting your child's carbohydrates. So if we take a 1 to 4 year old would normally have maybe 2 of these fish fingers, and a 5 to 10 year old would have maybe 4 of these fish fingers to optimise their protein, their good fats, etc. So let's pretend we're serving up here for a 5 year old. So there's our 4 fish fingers. We want about 50 grams of veg with this. Now sweet corn and peas are very high in carbohydrates, so again we're boosting their carbs. And I know all of you ladies out there, most will be saying, oh my god, carbs. Well, children need carbs. In each meal, a child needs approximately 44 carbs in each meal 3 times a day. So the carbs are a good thing for your child. Okay, so this is about the portion size for vegetables. And then you want about 125 to 150 grams of this potato to give them a good portion size. Now what a child this age needs is about 585 calories per meal. So what you're doing here, you're boosting the carbs, the calories with the fats and with the potato. The sweet corn and peas I cook very easily. Pop them in a little microwave sized bowl, tiny drop of water on the bottom of each, and microwave them for about 4 to 5 minutes. People sort of scare off of microwaves a bit, but it's actually proven that it maintains the nutrition better than boiling them for ages on a stove. It actually the nutrition can't disappear into the water because there's barely any there. So this is how simple it is and how pretty that looks. Now if your child won't eat vegetables, it can be served with baked beans or spaghetti, but remember, in half a can of normal baked beans there's about 1.3 grams of salt. So always buy the reduced salt and the reduced sugar one. And again, dollop of tomato sauce or barbecue sauce on the side is quite common, but again that adds nearly half a gram of salt to this dish. So just be aware to always go for the lower salt, lower sugar options, and that's how simple it is to make a lovely healthy dinner for your child. Okay. So how much salt is in this dish, do you think? Well, the fish swims in the sea. You're going to have naturally occurring salt in that fish. Okay, if you cream your mash up with maybe some polyunsaturated margarine and maybe a little bit of cheese, you're going to add salt in those two ingredients. One little note, soft cheese is much lower in salt than hard cheese. So if you can cream up with something like mascarpone, that will sweeten the mashed potato, but it won't add as much salt. So that's a little way of doing that. So in this dish, if we take into account I've creamed up my mashed potato and the fish has swum in the sea, there is 0.8 grams of salt in this meal, okay? That's approximately this much. So you can see how this dish contributes towards your child's maximum requirements, as opposed to that lovely lasagna that we talked about earlier, which introduced 1.14 grams of salt into your child's diet. So, for Salt Awareness Week, let's see if we can all cut down on the amount of salt our children intake. Let's all become little super sleuths when we're in the supermarket. I know you haven't got much time when you're running around with the kids on tow, but let's at least try and cut down in some way on their salt intake. Pick up the low salt and sugar options. You will really be so glad you did. The children you love, why would you not do it? So, let's all try and cut down by 1 gram of salt a week for now, and that will benefit your child immensely. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for paying attention. And I've got lots more ideas, so hopefully I'll see you again soon. Thank you.